her, "Piper wears black." Alex could, in fact, verify that. He'd watched the Galactic Renegades movies featuring Piper more than any of the others, just because he knew Charlie loved that character. "You need a black scarf to dress up like Piper?" he asked. Rachel shot him a look that clearly said, "Don't you dare offer to buy her a black scarf." He and Rachel weren't a typical couple. They weren't in love. They hadn't raised Charlie together for the first 10 years of her life. But apparently he could read Rachel's looks already. He supposed that was something. "I need a whole Piper outfit," Charlie said, climbing up onto one of the stools that sat at the island in Rachel's kitchen. "But Mom says it's more creative to make it myself." Awesome. He was already being torn between going along with Rachel's rules and wanting to please Charlie. "I met a woman who makes costumes," he said, reaching for one of the plates. "I wonder if she could do Piper." Rachel gave him a frown. "We could have someone make a Piper costume?" Charlie looked as if he'd just told her he knew someone who could make her a flying pony. Okay, he hadn't actually met the woman who did costumes for the Super U class, but he'd seen her, and he knew how to get a hold of her. Of course, that would require him to call or stop in at Active Imagination, and he wasn't sure that was a good idea. "I think so," he said carefully. He tried to give Rachel a look that said, "No worries, I've got this." Rachel's frown deepened. So his look hadn't gone through. Maybe they weren't that great at the wordless communication yet. "That would be amazing!" Charlie exclaimed. Amazing was one of her favorite words, but so far Alex hadn't heard her use it in regard to something he'd done. It only took one time and he was addicted. He grinned at her. "I'm glad you think so. Let me see what I can do." What he could do was go to Maya Goodwin's studio and hire her friend to make the costume. That seemed simple enough. But he'd been around Maya for about an hour total, and he already knew that he shouldn't go to her studio, because he'd want to keep going, and he couldn't do that. He was not in a place to start something with Maya. Or anyone. The two females he needed to concentrate on were in this kitchen with him right now. Yes, Charlie needed him, but so did Rachel. She'd raised his amazing daughter on her own while going to school and working. The least he could do was give her his time and support and attention now that she was back in his life. "I just really think it's more fun if you make the costume yourself," Rachel told Charlie, handing her 3 tacos with the lettuce removed. Alex made a note that Charlie didn't like lettuce, at least on tacos. As he'd learned about strawberries the other day, her not liking them on top of yogurt did not mean she didn't like them in other ways. He'd been making a lot of notes, mental and actual, over the past couple of months. "But this is red," Charlie said with a sigh, dropping the scarf on the floor. She picked up a clump of cheese and ate it, seemingly devastated about having the wrong-colored scarf. "Then maybe you can find something that's black that you can use instead of the scarf," Rachel said, giving Alex a look over Charlie's head. He understood that look, too. Leave it alone. Alex diverted the conversation, making small talk with Rachel, listening raptly as Charlie told him about school and an upcoming science project her class would be working on. "Speaking of projects, I was hoping you'd help me with an art thing I want to do with the kids next Wednesday," Rachel told Charlie, gathering up the taco wrappers and sauce packets from their dinner and sweeping them into the trash can. "I got a bunch of glitter glue on sale." "Okay," Charlie said with a shrug, "but Toby doesn't like glitter." Rachel turned back, drying her hands on a dish towel. "He doesn't?" Alex had been paying attention to, and actually inputting notes into his phone as soon as he got in the car every night about the subjects Rachel and Charlie talked about.